Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
Now, Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast, Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
All right, everybody, welcome to Spike's Car Radio. We're in Beverly Hills today, the 90210. I'm trying to sound like a radio guy right now. Do you like it?
It's working. I thought I was in the morning drive time.
No.
Hey, 7:45, 15 to the hour.
You're listening to a very funny guy, Will Sasso. Will, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This is going to be a comedy podcast, so if you're expecting car talk, you're a car guy in any way?
Not really, but we can call this a Carmody podcast. I bet nobody's done that. Hey, we got Maroon 5 coming up. Sorry.
No, keep going. You can say whatever you like. I know you, Will, and I want to say first you're here to promote Louder Milk.
Yeah.
Which is a new half-hour scripted comedy.
That's correct.
Is that the right way? It premieres October 17th at 10:30 on the AT&T Audience Network. We will get to that. We will talk about that in a minute. But you and I have something very much in common. This Saturday night comedy lineup at Fox.
Yeah.
You were a Mad TV cast member for how many years?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
What years were those?
97 to 2002.
To 2002. And I started at midnight in 2006.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Did you feel trapped in that situation? I had this. Yeah, there was so much talent on that show on Mad TV, right? Starting with what we've got Jim Carrey, we've got you, we've got Bobby Lee, Jordan Peele, Michael McDonald, Ike Barinholtz.
Yeah, Jim Carrey was on In Living Color.
In Living Color. Okay, forget about
whatever.
Yes, okay, wrong show. But but still Fox.
Yeah, still Fox.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing.
But he escaped.
Yes.
On In Living Color. He was able to escape Fox and turn into something.
Correct. But none of us on Mad TV were able to make that jump.
Nor I. And why do you think that is? Did you find it frustrating to be
low
there?
Low level of talent. I won't speak for everybody on the that you listed there, except for Jim Carrey, who is Jim Carrey. So, and I understand, why you said that first, Jim Carrey. Oh, whoa, hold on a second. He was on In Living Color, and he's a megastar and a comedy influence of anybody performing comedy, writing comedy, creating comedy in any way, whether they know it or not. Much like the Beatles in music. And then here's these other people. So yeah, but Jim Carrey got out.
I'm one. Now, see, I don't blame you. I blame Fox for this.
Why? What are you talking about?
Because
everybody. By the way, everyone that you just listed is doing great.
They're doing great.
Ike's killing it. Of course, Key and Peele. Keegan.
No,
and Jordan,
that's my point. But
Bobby Lee.
That's my point.
Yeah,
they weren't killing it. They weren't able to transcend a certain level on Fox on Saturday night because of the network's inability to understand topical humor. That they never really gave you guys what you needed to really resonate as a bigger show. Huh. And having been there myself and having done this and been captive in that situation where, I'm doing a late night show and they want me to shoot 22 of these things in September and October that they can space out during the year.
Ah, I see.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now here's Mad TV, and we have all this talent. There was a lot of writing talent on that show, too.
Absolutely. Amazing writers.
You've got this big thing ready to go, and only, there's a ton of funny sketches in there and great funny characters, but the topical stuff doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And as the culture is shifting at that moment, and you've got shows like Saturday Night Live, which is about what's happening in the news, and then characters and sketches.
Yeah.
That big piece is left out. Didn't that bother you?
No, that never really bothered me because my influences were more, early Saturday Night Live was obviously very topical, but it also wasn't, because it came from, the National Lampoon Radio Hour, and it came from, the Stage and Second City. And so it was a lot of just sketches. And past that, my sketch influences are SCTV, Monty Python, Kids in the Hall.
Right.
Kids in the Hall were never topical.
Right.
SCTV was maybe a little more topical, barely topical. And Monty Python wasn't topical at all either. I actually preferred to not do topical stuff. I loved the sort of evergreen, here's a sketch that hopefully you can watch in 5, 10, 15
But you're
years.
you're doing Schwarzenegger a lot.
Yeah, but Schwarzenegger's still Schwarzenegger today, and he was Schwarzenegger 20 years before I was doing Schwarzenegger.
Look, I get it, but the game changes in a network. Like it's Kids in the Hall was great. Everything you just said, I watched all of that stuff, and I absolutely loved it as a kid. And
but it would be
I loved that it wasn't topical. And
right.
and I when I was writing for David Letterman early on, I wrote strictly non-topical stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
I wasn't a topical
guy.
I
Awesome.
hated it, and all I wanted to do was write the weird stuff, the funny stuff that made me laugh when I was in college.
Yeah.
And then I had this kind of shift where I saw when we were, writing stuff on that show, or, I would throw something up on my late night show where I could get close to being topical. It would explode across the pop culture universe on the internet. There was this new thing happening.
Right.
And, I had a front row seat to at least the Mad TV crew that was there, Bobby Lee and Ike and those guys. And I could not believe how funny these people were. I could not believe how funny the writers were.
Right.
And then I would say, well, what is going wrong here? Why are you guys not writing the sketches that I'm seeing all over the internet the next day on Monday? And it was always the same answer, that we have to gang shoot these shows. Unlike an SNL or a legitimate talk show like Letterman, you shoot the show the day and you talk about the news of the day, right? And I always found that to be extremely frustrating at that network, and I just assumed you were frustrated too.
The thing that you say there that would maybe separate your experience from mine is that I was there sort of pre-internet.
Right.
I was there from 97 to 2002, and in 2002 all we had was like a message board.
Right.
And we didn't there was no streaming video. Like you had to be, like 3% of people had DSL or whatever. And there was absolutely no cable or high speed. So and also we shot from like September to February or March.
Right.
So we were able to be somewhat topical, and we did stay topical with stuff like the Bill Clinton stuff and other things. And if we had to push something to a Saturday show where it's like, no, we have to get this on, which we certainly would do every once in a while, we would just go ahead and do it. But we didn't have that challenge that you had, which is you've got to do all this stuff September, October, or whatever, shoot a bank of these things, and then air them until the new year. And meanwhile, the internet's blowing up, and you've got new news things. Yeah, that would be extremely frustrating.
No, you're walking out into a monologue, Mark, with a suit on.
No, there's no
What
way.
are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Yeah. No, you can't do a monologue.
And then people would die.
Yeah.
People would die between.
Right.
Remember?
Oh no.
I can't think of who's the African American 60 Minutes correspondent who died.
Ed Bradley?
Ed Bradley.
Yeah.
I weirdly made an Ed Bradley joke. I don't even
Which
know
no
how
one
I
has
got
ever
to
done.
it, which
Yeah.
no one has ever done. And then I'm sitting at home in February, and he dies. And I'm going, oh my God, I've got this show that's going to air with an Ed Bradley joke in it in 2 weeks.
That's incredible.
But there's nobody to call. We're down. There's no edit room. There's nothing. And I know. And I'm sitting there, and I watch 2 weeks later, I have to watch this Ed Bradley joke go off and then endure the heat from it as if I just made it that morning.
Oh, that's incredible.
So that was the experience I had there. Anyway, how did you get on to Mad TV? How did that come about? You're known primarily as a voices guy, like.
For sketch stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you come? You're Canadian.
Yeah.
You come from Canada.
Yeah.
How did you get into comedy?
I just was always, those aforementioned shows were, big influences on me when I was a kid and made me want to get into, show business, I guess. And, later through watching the people that came out of those shows, Monty Python and SCTV, Saturday Night Live, gained an appreciation for acting and was kind of an acting nerd and all that stuff as a kid and in high school and all these things. And, I kind of got fortunate. I was very fortunate because I'm from Vancouver, and there was a great deal of production happening there in the late 80s, early 90s. And so I just kind of crashed a bunch of auditions and stuff, and then, I got an agent when I was like 15.
How do you do that? I mean, in Canada, I don't even. Are there agents in Vancouver?
They've got agents now. They've got plumbing.
Did they back then?
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they would come out of their igloos in the morning, and it was really something else.
What is a Vancouver agent like back then? When you're saying I'm going to be in show business,
yeah, they were
Marty Muckaluck, whatever his name is. What is he doing? Who is he representing at that point?
Well, he's representing Lauren Green, and he's got a hand crank telefax. And he's basically he's sending, cave drawings to the actors and stuff who are interpreting those into whatever lines they may have for their audition for Littlest Hobo. And only your Canadian listeners, if you have any, would know what that is. There was a bunch of American shows were shooting there, American movies were shooting there. And then Canadian shows were
So the smaller parts. So they might bring in the stars of the show, but they need people to do under fives and other stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's a vibrant little business there.
Yeah.
And what do your parents do? What were they up to?
My father is my parents are from Italy, and they immigrated from Italy. My brother and sister were born in Italy, and then I was the mistake later. And then my dad was a maitre d' and a waiter, and was at the Hotel Vancouver, which was like the spot, in the 60s and 70s. And then, my mom stayed home primarily, and then worked later in hospitals and stuff as like a candy striper and that sort of thing, nurse's assistant. And
so you said, I'm going to be a sketch comedian.
Yeah, I was like, I want to act.
And what did they say?
They were like, okay. I mean, they're
cool with it.
The advantage.
Did they even understand what you were saying? That's a tough thing to relate to parents.
I tell you, one of the things I would love is if I was back home visiting and Mad TV was airing, and Mad TV episode was on, I would watch it with them, and I would sit there. My mom's got an incredible sense of humor. My mom understands who everyone is, very topical, and knows all this stuff, and just laughs and laughs. My old man, he hasn't laughed, since 1978, so he's. He would sit there and he would kind of, smirk and go, okay, yeah. And I go, Dad, who am I? I mean, he knows who the politicians are. But I'm like, Dad, who am I? He's like, I don't know. Funny, you wear glasses and you're singing. Yeah, but who am I? Yeah, I don't know. I'm Elton John. Okay, yeah. Do you know who Elton John is? No, I don't know. So, yeah, they had no. The good thing about having immigrant parents is they're like, do whatever you want to do, just love it, because we don't quite know what this new world is anyway, or are you not a fishmonger? But so long as you love what you do, and they still don't know what the heck I'm doing. They understand kind of, but I think that's really, I think it was a wonderful thing to just have parents who are like, okay, and but just
good luck.
Yeah, they're very loving.
So where's your big break in Vancouver? Like, where does it happen? And Will, we're gonna need some AC in here. It's getting hot under these bright lights here at Podcast One.
Yeah, gee whiz, we got the blacked out.
I give the same note every time. You can just freeze us up to 63 degrees like David Letterman. Did you know David Letterman liked to keep his studio at 63 degrees?
I'd never been in the studio. I would have loved to have gone and watched the show or whatever. I'd only heard. I did not know it was 63.
Even better, right before rehearsal, there was a janitor guy who would hold a thermometer. He had to stand there. That was his job, to make sure it was exactly 63.
Wow.
So you'd see him on the camera, on the rehearsal camera up in your monitors up there.
That's amazing.
Right. Just holding it. He would just be standing there like this, like a sentinel.
That's
with
tremendous.
A little mercury thermometer. And when it got to 63, Dave would come down.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like...
Because that was ideal comedy temperature for Dave.
63.
Yeah, it's funnier when it's colder. When it gets hot, you
can't be funny.
You don't want to be podcasting hot.
No.
The
hot podcast
tonight.
we got the infrared sauna. We're in here. We're going to make some comedy.
So you're in Canada. You get an agent.
Yeah.
You book some gigs.
Yeah, I booked some thingies, and then
what? How do you get to Mad TV?
Well, I did.
Is Mad TV already on the air, right? It's already on when they're looking for new cast.
That's right. Mad TV. I joined in their third season. They kind of half the cast was cleared out, or left or whatever. When I was in Canada, I was doing. In my teens, I was on like a teen drama for like 5 years. It was like sort of a Canadian, My So-Called Life, and that was great. Because it really. I got to go to acting school with, there was all the stuff I'd done before that and all the nerdiness, of being into it and all the plays in high school. But there was it was an unbelievable experience with really great writing. And, the show was a nice show and, looked good and blah, blah, blah. And there's a handful of us young people learning from each other and experiencing it together. And then from there, I kind of, I got a part in Happy Gilmore when I was I guess I was 18 or 19.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was.
Is that shooting in Vancouver too?
That was shooting in Vancouver. and I played one of the movers at the beginning of the movie. Then the same director.
Did you get to meet Adam Sandler?
Yeah. Our scenes were with Adam.
He's great.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I just watched that with you in it with my kids. I have a 9 and 7-year-old, and they're in the Sandler stage of their comedy experience. Sandler and Simpsons, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but both of them really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
So you must be thrilled. There you are with Adam Sandler.
I was blown away. I couldn't believe I got to do that. Then the next year, the same director, Dennis Dugan, was doing Beverly Hills Ninja.
Who is Dennis Dugan now as a kid? He had his own TV show, right?
What was he on, Rockford Files? I'm more familiar with his work as a director, but I remember watching him.
He had a drama.
He was young, he was...
That's right. Look up Dennis Dugan, Will, and tell us what it was. It wasn't... it's not Doogie Howser. I know that, but he had his own series as a kid. But go ahead and continue. He
was like, I think you might be right for this part, and so I sent in a tape, and it was great. So then I got to work with Chris Farley, who's
wow.
I mean, Sandler and Farley are both idols of mine, and Chris Rock was in Beverly Hills Ninja. So it was surreal for me.
So which Chris Farley did you get to be with?
Come on now.
Was he in control? Because I had I was around Chris for some stuff at SNL. What do you got?
It was Rockford Files.
Rockford Files.
TV shows included Mod Squad, Waltons, Cannon, Columbo.
What was his character?
I don't know. Let's see.
He had, because I swear he had a little spin-off show after a while.
It was...
All right. You keep looking.
Let me find this.
Well, that's cool. Farley, was he your hero after you met him? Weren't you also just afraid of that energy? Did any of it spook you?
No. I describe Chris Farley as someone who's he was so sweet to everyone.
He was.
And then there's the demons that took him early. That I didn't really get to witness all that much. I got a bit of a chance to hang out with him here and there, but
it was crazy. I remember going to his apartment after an SNL party. He's like, "Come on, everybody, we're all going to my apartment." We all went in. It was this empty apartment.
Oh,
It wasn't any furniture in it. There was like one chair and a TV. That was his life was pretty disorganized at that point. And like you said, he was great, really loving, funny guy.
Yeah.
But I think I might, now, I was a lot younger then. Now I might look back at that and be kind of terrified at the way he was living.
Yeah,
And it was pretty, it was all fun and games then. It's like, hey, let's drink whiskey, and whatever drugs he might have been doing. And, you just think, well, this is hilarious. This is just a party. This is just the way it is. Now I might look back at that and go, this guy's in big trouble, and I might not, I shouldn't be around it maybe.
Yeah,
I don't want to help.
It's interesting. It's like... Yeah, I don't know what it is that I guess I do know what it is because I've seen, you just see so much of it when you're in show business. But it's very human. It's not limited to show business, but of course the trappings of fame will make things that can take you over a whole lot more accessible, a whole lot more accepted, and there's not a lot of people to tell you no. So yeah, I kind of feel like that was yeah, it's interesting.
All right. Well, Mad TV.
Think about it.
Tell me how you get on Mad TV.
Mad TV. They cleared out half the cast after their.
But who calls you? Like, how do they even hear about you? How did it? Your discovery moment. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, there was my manager Danielle Dell, who I've been with now for like 21 years, who's incredible. I was working with her, and I was living here, and and had gone in. It was pilot season, and you're going in for a bunch of pilots and stuff. But I was also doing, I was also kind of a weirdo comedy guy, and then. They literally it was the casting director Mark Hirschfeld.
Oh, I know Mark.
You know
Mark was on Seinfeld with
Yeah,
us. He was our casting director.
That's right.
Yeah.
He was the casting director
he's
for
the
Seinfeld.
best.
Also Friends, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not so sure about that.
He's responsible for some incredible stuff over his career, and then and has been, aside from being a casting director.
Were you on Seinfeld?
No.
Were you ever on the show? Were you
No.
never ever brought in?
No. It was one of those things where I was was reading for him a lot for this and that.
Right.
And yeah, it was really because of Danielle and Mark, who Mark was like, well, here's this, you got to see this guy, and I just went in there and
what did you do for your audition?
we had to write 3 monologues, like perform 3 characters, and do some of their stuff. I think I did 2 of their sketches, just in a traditional audition. Yeah, and then and this is weird, but I did not know that I was supposed to be doing impersonations, which was odd. So then,
so what do you mean?
I just didn't. I misunderstood that part of the assignment. I guess.
So when you walked in, what did you do?
They said, "What impersonations do you got?"
And what did you say?
I said, "Oh, okay," and I just started doing ones that I'd done. Literally a bunch of them that I'd just done with friends and stuff.
Right.
I'd never had an
like
outlet.
what were they? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was doing Jesse Ventura, but I was doing like Jesse Ventura commentating WWF wrestling with Gorilla Monsoon, like in the 80s, like, I'll give credit where credit is due, Monsoon. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, Monsoon. Just shit like that.
Wow.
Sound bites of
I'm amazed you did not wilt in that. I would die in that situation. I mean, I've been to a handful of auditions, but if I walked in and I had nothing prepared, it'd be over.
to do, yeah.
Yeah, I might just lay on the ground in a fetal position, and then they'd have to drag me out.
I mean,
you nail it. That was great.
Well, it probably didn't sound like that. It was probably like, Monsoon. I'm a Monsoon. Horseshoes, hand grenades, credit
What
due.
else?
Monsoon.
What was the second one? Do you remember?
Probably a shit ton of wrestlers.
So you like professional wrestling? So
I like wrestling and comedy. Yeah, I did like a bunch of just like sound bites, and they're like, "Yeah, here's this fat jukebox." Maybe
and did the room laugh?
Yeah, they were very kind. It was a very sweet room, and it really. I mean, it wasn't. It was a pressure cooker,
right?
And it was a long audition process, and blah blah blah.
Who was in the room? David
Salzman.
David Salzman.
Fax Bar and Adam Small.
Oh, okay. Fax and Adam are great.
Awesome guys who are there from In Living Color.
Yeah.
There writers for In Living Color.
That's my confusion.
There it is.
Not the fact that it's early in the morning and I'm sleepy. My wife gets up at 4:30 in the morning, Will.
What?
And this is what happens. I put Jim Carrey on the wrong show. I got 3 hours of sleep. 3 hours of sleep.
There's a 4:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Now?
Why?
When did they add this?
Why? If you're listening, don't tell Erica I'm talking about her in the podcast. But it's ridiculous that she's getting up at 4. That's like CEOs get up at 4:30 in the morning. She's not a CEO, all right? She's a mom. She wants to go work out, but she's ruining me. I'm dying from this 5 days a week. Anyway,
she gets up at 4:30.
She's getting up at 4:30.
That's incredible.
And I'm going to bed at midnight or 1. You see what's happening there?
Yeah.
I'm starting to lose it.
Well, we're on a segue. Richie Brockelman, that's the character.
Richie Brockelman, that's it. Richie
that was his
Brockelman,
character
that was the character. Okay, I know that because my brother and I used to play Richie Brockelman growing up. We were huge Rockford Files fans, and every once in a while when we played superheroes, he would be Richie Brockelman.
You were so it was like the Flash, Spider-Man, and Richie Brockelman.
Richie Brockelman. A lot of times it would be Batman, Underdog, and Richie Brockelman.
That's
and you'd put towels, you'd wrap them around. Everybody had capes, no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah, and then you'd fight.
You want to talk about a topical sketch? Underdog and Richie Brockelman.
No. Anyway, this audition is fascinating to me.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was fun, and then
because you nail it. And the other, you don't remember the other ones you did?
I actually did a little bit of Chris Farley.
You did?
Yeah, because
that's interesting.
Yeah, because I just worked with him the year previous on Beverly Hills Ninja, and just had I had stories, sort of my stories that I would tell my friends, like about working with the legendary Chris Farley, which were basically about how he was he's such a sweetheart to everybody, and then his assistant Ted would annoy him, and I would just do sort of this dialogue between him and his assistant Ted, which I was talking up. I was just couldn't get enough of this relationship between Chris Farley and this guy who's like 6'6", and
Right.
he had one of those heads that were too big for hats. When you put a grown person hat on a dude with a big head and lots of hair, and he looked like a Sesame Street version of someone wearing a hat. And then just stories about him running into them after we shot the movie, and just which of course I had been talking up Ted to my friends, and then I run into Chris Farley, and I'm like, "Hey, Ted," and he was so happy that someone had remembered him, and so he started talking and said some shit that Chris wanted to say, and then Chris got upset with him, and anyway, so just long. I basically just told stories in voices that were 60 to 75% there. And that seemed to be enough for comedy in the 90s.
It totally is. You're listening to my guest, Will Sasso. His new show is Louder Milk. It premieres October 17th at 10:30 on the AT&T Audience Network. We'll be right back with Spike's Comedy Radio. When you're looking to buy a car, you want to make sure that you're getting real pricing on actual inventory. Unfortunately, a lot of times, this isn't the case. People configure cars online only later to find out they're not available. This just happened to my brother. Well, with TrueCar, you get real pricing on actual inventory. This is not pricing offered by TrueCar, but pricing from an actual dealer. And not just any dealer, but a TrueCar certified dealer. This is a carefully curated network of dealers committed to transparency and offering you a competitive market price. Using TrueCar, you can easily find the car you want. Next, TrueCar will show you what other people in your area paid for the same car you're looking for. Now you know what a fair price is, so you can feel confident. And don't we all want to feel confident? Over 3 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. There are over 13,000 TrueCar Certified dealers nationwide. You will work directly with a TrueCar Certified dealer contact. TrueCar users are more likely to enjoy a fast buying process when they connect with TrueCar Certified dealers. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. When you're ready to buy, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features not available in all states. And guess what? I'm not telling you what features and what states.
Hey, it's Jay Moore, and it is time, finally, for America's Lakers podcast. That's right, I'm going to be hosting America's Lakers podcast. My man Aaron Larsoul, an analytical genius, he's going to bring to the table what I can't every Wednesday. America's Lakers podcast exclusively at podcastone.com, the podcastone.com app, which I highly recommend. You can rate and review this podcast on all Apple products. And guess what we're not going to do? We're not going to bathe in the gossip and the gratuitous negativity that's been swallowing Los Angeles whole lately. Who did what? Who snitched? Who said what? How about truth? How about facts? How about statistics? How about rotations? What's Luke Walton thinking? Who's underperforming? Who's overachieving? Who's rewarded? Who's coming? Who's going? And what are we going to do with all that delightful, delicious cap space? America's Lakers podcast with me, Jay Moore, and my man, my brother, Aaron Larsoul, every Wednesday, podcastone.com.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
All right, we're back with Will Sasso talking about Louder Milk. Let's get into Louder Milk. First of all, what is Louder Milk? What is the name of this show? Did you write the show and executive producer? Do you just star in it?
No, I'm just one of the actors.
Okay.
And it was written by Bobby Mort, and then Peter Farrelly read that script and developed it further with Bobby. And
he's in it too, right? Peter Farrelly of the Farrelly brothers.
Pete. He does not appear in the show unless I missed.
He doesn't.
Something.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe he had a little small role. Sometimes he.
So this is the original Three Stooges crew, a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
And what is it about? Tell us what
Loudermilk
Loudermilk
is about Ron Livingston's character is named Sam Loudermilk, and he's sort of a sponsor in recovery for alcohol, and he's one of those meeting leaders who is working with others in that sort of recovery setting. And the interesting thing about Loudermilk is, and what we hope people will enjoy is he's extremely unfiltered. He's a very unfiltered guy, and it's aside from the fact that working with the likes of Ron Livingston and Pete Farrelly and Bobby Mort also was very attractive to me. When I read the script, it was I mean, I was laughing out loud because the character is such an abrasive asshole. And I think it's coming along at the right time in television where you can be more of an abrasive asshole, sort of, what television has taught us over the past 10 to 15 years in cable is that you don't always have to be the hero or the nice guy. And he's certainly principled, but he's got a very specific set of morals, Sam Loudermilk, and he's sort of surrounded by people who are broken, like his roommate. I play his roommate, and I'm also his sponsor. And then you start to find out that I'm not altogether there, and perhaps it's the blind leading the blind, and so it's just this fucked up guy, trying to help these messed up people, and yeah, he's just extremely abrasive. And there's, Pete. The great thing about Pete Farrelly and the meter that he has is that. There's a lot of the stuff that he's done with Dumb and Dumber and Something About Mary and these kinds of movies, and the Stooges, working with him on the Stooges. First of all, Pete has like the best meter on comedic timing I've ever been around for a director. I've never seen anything like it. It's to the millisecond. So and if you don't do it right, he's like, no, you go you went da-da-da-da. Well, what am I supposed to? Da-da-da-da. Oh, okay. What did I do? Da-da-da-da. Oh, okay. So, that was good, though.
That's his way of delivering a line read. He
does
da-da-da-da.
He's like, I don't remember what you said.
That. That's good. That's a really good solution.
Yeah, it's all music. Comedy's a lot like jazz, Spike. Oh, what a douchebag.
But, some actors will not want the line read, and they'll get angry at you. But if you say da-da-da-da,
yeah,
you've got this nice middle ground.
Yeah,
da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, no, he does do the line reading, but also, if you can't take a line reading from Pete Farrelly, why don't you get the fuck out of show business? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go.
Stupid actors.
Now
That's not how I'm going to do it. Well, then do it your way. What, you can't hear a song and then sing it your own way, or what? Shut up! Like, it's a television show. Shut up.
Yeah. Now we got him riled up. Will Sasso's ranting. This is where I like.
Yeah, the real
show.
raw Will
like
Sasso.
Loudermilk. Is this how Loudermilk rants?
Yeah, he goes like this. Shut up. I'd like to write an episode. My take on Loudermilk would be, why don't you shut up? Yeah. So
wait. Well, let's talk about the AT&T Audience Network. I love all these new networks, the way they're popping up.
Yeah.
It's this. I thought I saw Audience on. This is a cable network, right?
Yeah, well, it's AT&T. Well, in a merger between AT&T and
they've now
DirecTV.
merged with AT&T, and where are they putting their money into? Are they making primarily comedy content or drama? Because most of these companies just make drama, and they hope they get the next Game of Thrones, and everybody. But what? Right? And they watch the channel.
There seems to be, there's
no one quite cares anymore. None of us care where these shows live. We just want a good show, a funny show, and right? What are they up to?
They're doing well. They after AT&T acquired DirecTV, they decided, well, let's have our own network, which makes perfect sense. So the Audience Network was born, and they've there is some drama, and now they're moving more into comedy as well, and sort of filling out that lineup. And it's really interesting because, of course, 10 years ago, you'd be like, what? What network is that? And now, it sort of seems like since AMC did what they did,
right,
with Mad Men and Breaking Bad, it literally doesn't matter. The Food Network presents Loudermilk, so it doesn't matter what you're on.
You just need people watching it and looking for it, right? And I'm guessing it also lives online and on phones and mobile and everywhere else.
Yeah,
right?
There's the DirecTV Now app.
Oh, I can watch it on that.
You can watch it on
that's
an
right.
app.
DirecTV is now, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, nowadays, these kids, they take a telephone and they'll watch other kids play video games, or they'll watch reruns of Family Ties.
No, now that we're talking about telephones, all right, I want to talk about your Vines.
Oh.
How long are you still making these Vines?
No, thank goodness. No, I only did it for like the first 6 months of the
app. I was doing my research on you, and I happened upon these Vine compilations. And if you're listening and you're near your phone or your internet,
and you are, because you're listening.
No, a lot of people are in cars. I don't want them to do it while they're driving.
Don't do it while you're driving.
Search Will Sasso's Vine compilations on YouTube and just play these. And I defy you not to die laughing. These were so fun. I didn't know you did these. But
oh yeah, they're fun.
this
fun to
is
do.
like highly charged little comedy bites that you're so good at.
Oh,
and
cheers.
they really made me laugh.
Oh, awesome.
Like, I was
That's
really
cool.
laughing hard at all the Schwarzenegger stuff.
Oh, cool.
Like, your take on Schwarzenegger was he has to drive wherever he is. So
Yeah, that
it's-
was.
It's,
Sorry.
It seemed like wherever you were traveling and you were in a town car,
Yeah.
you would put your hand out in front of the camera with a cigar and go, "Let me drive," and you would get the driver to scream back at you, "Shut up!"
Which was incredible. Like that you can literally cast your driver if I was doing something work related.
I thought you got great performances out of all of these regular people.
I
And
tell
then
ya.
Bobby Lee, I saw Bobby Lee in one. And,
Yep.
And I saw a lot of just you goofing around in a hotel room. Just because I don't quite
The
understand.
more you describe it, the sadder it gets. Like,
No,
yeah, you're dicking around in a hotel room, and there's another one where you're
Well, you
you're
have
alone
these-
and you're naked. You're eating fucking salad out of a
You
giant
have these takes
bowl.
that you would do to pay them off with like a lemon in your mouth that you would squeeze that would like you're vomiting lemon and then vomiting an orange, then vomiting water. And I thought all of it was really inspired and really funny. Like I understand those comedic rhythms. You know, if you
Cheers.
look at it, you might go, "This is a bunch of silliness," but it's very Python-esque. Because you're finding not only the funny thing and the funny sound, but it's a very satisfying funny thing.
Oh, cheers.
You know what I mean? It just describing it to people that are going, "What are you talking about? Squeezing a lemon in your mouth?" Go watch it, and then you'll know what I'm talking about.
Well,
And do you know what I'm saying when I say about satisfying comedic imagery?
well, no,
Do you get
no,
that?
no,
you
not
don't.
really. No, I got to
But
be honest.
You're doing it, and you probably don't know you're doing it.
I know what makes me laugh, I guess.
And you're doing it on those cuts. Like in a Vine, were you editing that stuff, or is it just holding the app down, stopping, and doing the next shot?
That's right. You have to hold. It's in-app editing. You have to hold your thumb down. And
Right.
anyone who is into that app will tell you. And if any of your listeners were into it themselves, you would do it, 5, 10, 15 times to get it right.
Oh,
you know?
right.
So there I am in my kitchen like a jackass with a lemon in my mouth, spitting water all over the floor. Literally.
That's what I liked. That's what I liked about it, knowing that you were doing that.
Yeah, I should have done. There should have been like like the documentary version of it, the Hearts of Darkness version, where you just see me at like midnight trying to get a vine right and a lemon to pop out of my mouth, and just water up to my ankles.
Your
and
take on Schwarzenegger was great. The driving around thing. It's him driving around, yelling at people or women on the sidewalk. "I like you. You're hired. You're hired," and then just ranting at fast food lines with the drive-through. And what I loved about that is I live on the west side of LA, and I see Schwarzenegger doing this.
Really?
Yeah, he's always driving around with a cigar in a
That's
Veyron or a Hummer.
Yeah.
And now I have some words to put with the imagery that I see.
Yeah.
But-
Look at this. And here, Abbott Kinney. I bought up half of this block here, and then me and Franco Colombo, we built that wall there, 1981. We got out here with the bricks, and we made it. And now it's a restaurant.
Why are you eating so much fast food, Arnold?
Because look, you have to have good fats. Everybody tell you don't eat eggs. That's bullshit. Eat eggs. Put the egg in a fat burger. Yeah, that way you get more fat. It's called fat burger. You go there, you order the burger. You have the cola. It really the sugar gets with the fat. It makes it put it in your body.
Where did you come up with that take?
Well,
on him? Why the driving? Tell me why the driving.
To me, it was like I kind of looked at it here's this app where you can make these little 6-second skits, and it's like, well, what do you have? I mean, maybe in your experience too, during doing your show at Fox, at Mad TV, it was like we would write things, and the writers would write things, and we would come up with things based on. It's like, hey, this courtroom set cost us $15,000. We're leaving it here for a month. Write courtroom sketches.
Yes.
So when you've got this app, you don't have a set, you don't have anything. I'm like, well, I live in LA and I drive a lot. And this is before Oprah made us all promise not to drive and text. So I'm like, well,
It's Oprah's fault.
yeah, fucking Oprah. You're at a stoplight and it's like, come on, fucking go. Like, just like the idea that Arnold is in his car waiting for people, at stoplights or,
But you have a cigar, so
yeah, which is sad.
you don't
'cause
smoke cigars. You're driving with cigars.
I
now.
literally would have a cigar just sitting there in my dashboard. like, oh, well, I might need this cigar for a 6-second sketch because I'm a scumbag. I'm an idiot. And
What, do you make any money off Vines?
Nope,
Nothing.
never made a dime. In order to make money off of Vine, you had to do a sponsored ad, and they started like, once it got popular, pretty much after I got off the app, that's when all the kids started making money. But also, it was kids making money, and I'm at least, on my tax returns, it says that I'm a professional actor, so I can't really justify making a, like, hey, try out this dating app, like, on my Vine, which would just, it's already sad to be doing like a Robert De Niro impersonation in your house with a wig.
That was great, but you bail on it. You take the wig off, and then you feel sad that you just did the Robert De Niro impression.
And that's the Hearts of Darkness side of it. I feel like I literally was like, oh, I can't really do this, can I? Like, can I really sit in my house and find the right light and go? I would literally go to one room in my house where I go, oh, this is the perfect lighting for just like a white backdrop to do these De Niro things.
Right.
And after I was like, oh, it'd be funny if he's like ordering Chinese food or he's, reading tweets or whatever. And then I go, this is so sad. I'm by myself in my house doing this De Niro thing. So it became part of it where it's like you ripping the wig off and getting upset at myself.
They all end that way. That was really funny.
Because it's.
Who's the derelict character? The one with the bloody nose who was shot and buried in the backyard?
Oh, that's Corey.
Corey.
Because
I would have hired you based on the Vine compilation I just watched. This, I was just like, this is amazing. Why is this not a show? This is killing me.
I don't know why it's not a show. I tried, but I tried. You know how it goes. So
no, I think there's something there. I've been watching a lot of Eric Andre too on his show, his Adult Swim show.
Yeah.
Just these little YouTube compilations where they just get to just the good stuff. I just wish now there could be a bigger Will Sasso show that's just that stuff.
Well, don't hold your breath. But I tell you what, I had a good time making Vines. Watch Loudermilk, everybody.
Well, maybe we put some of those around there. All right, let's talk Three Stooges because we're both Three Stooges fans.
Oh, are you? Cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We grow up watching. You mind if you're watching Monty Python? Did you ever watch The Goodies growing up?
No.
That was a British comedy troupe. They were kind of that's what they put on in between Monty Python's seasons on PBS.
Oh,
that's
okay.
how we would catch it in Massachusetts. But when you ran out of everything else usually Saturday mornings you had the Three Stooges.
That's right.
So it was a show my brother and I watched constantly. It's funny when I think back, I didn't laugh as hard as that as I laughed at SNL or Monty Python was really it. That show made me consistently bust out laughing out loud. Three Stooges, I watched pretty much every Three Stooges episode, but it didn't laugh as much except for one scene where a bear drives a car. I don't know if you remember, they're out in the woods. The bear steals their car.
I don't remember that.
And then he signals for a turn, which he's
Awesome.
able to signal for a turn, and he makes the turn, but then he crashes. We were always like, well, he can shift gears and he can steer the car and signal, but he can't. He can't drive straight. Is that what you're saying? But tell me about how you got this movie. Always this Three Stooges movie always confused me. Why they made it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I watched it and then I loved it because I realized it was you guys celebrating the Three Stooges.
Cheers.
And if you're a guy, especially we all have this shared love for these three guys.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So you played Curly, Jerome Lester Horvitz.
Yeah.
And
Sean Hayes was Larry.
Sean Hayes,
and
right.
Chris Diamantopoulos played Mo.
And did you audition for that part? Did
Yes.
you go in? Who else was up for that part? Do you know?
No, I don't know who was up for the round that the auditioning and sort of the incarnation of the film that.
And what was the take they were saying? I remember when it was announced, I was like, well, what are they doing? A biopic? Is this
Right.
going to be the serious side of the Stooges we haven't seen with Mo drinking his CC and ginger and the fighting? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you have a creative meeting about it? How was it pitched to you?
Well, actually, I first heard about the film about 7, 8, 9 years before the film got made. Because they were wanting to make the movie, and the Farrelly brothers are great fans of the Stooges, I got called into a meeting with Pete, and he said he goes, yeah, I've been hearing your name around, because Curly and you're fat and bald, and then so then
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, all right, Like, you could also shave Kevin James' head or whatever, but and then he said, here's some DVDs and just watch it and we'll be in touch.
Right.
And then 7 or 8 years went by.
Some DVDs of what?
Stooges.
Of Stooges.
He
just in case you hadn't seen it, but you'd seen it.
Yeah,
clearly. Right?
But he was like, "Well, we want you to, watch it."
I can't think of any part that would be more difficult to play than playing Curly.
It was.
Do you know what I'm saying about that? Like, you're trying to play someone who is so iconic.
Yeah,
and
it was interesting. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to articulate it? That like it almost seems like you nobody can really do these impressions.
Well,
I would be so frightened at that moment that maybe I'm making a mistake.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, you have to watch it. I sort of started watching it in a different way than I would to just enjoy it, but I found in the end I was just enjoying it. Once you've done all your homework and you're, you start capturing the isms, however many isms you can get and however many isms that Curly had, when you're watching it and studying it, once you kind of get, and this is some weird nerdy stuff, but like once you have sort of witnessed and whether or not you're able to do them, once you've sort of started to perform more isms than there are not, like once you get over 50%, then you start to feel comfortable going, this is what Jerome Lester Horowitz would have done.
Right.
In this take.
Did you do a deep dive on him, like emotion? Did you dive into his history, or were you just watching tape on him and trying to do an impression?
I had a couple conversations with Billy West, who
I love Billy. I know Billy.
He's amazing.
I love that we're having a serious Curly conversation, too. I hope you people are enjoying this, because I'm really enjoying it. We're digging deep on Curly this week, folks. Spike's Curly Radio. But continue. More on Curly.
Well, Billy does an amazing. Well, he does them all. He does all three of them, and he's a huge Stooges fan.
And he's a huge voiceover guy. And he was working at WBCN in Boston when I was growing up. So he was that guy. I knew this guy who I later met in New York, and had lunch with Larry from the Three Stooges' sister.
Really?
Larry's fine. It was Lila Feinberg was her name.
Amazing.
And she was married to the sound effects guy for the Three Stooges, the guy that made the bonks. And
really?
Yeah. And
the guy who would have also in vaudeville, like, stood off stage
yes,
with 2x4s?
They got married.
That's amazing.
He married Larry's sister, Lila, and my friend Eddie Gordetsky, who's a writer and who I knew in New York and was a friend, and Billy West. They called me up and they said, "Do you want to have lunch with Larry from the Three Stooges' sister?" And I dropped the phone on the floor and I just said, "Where? When?"
That's amazing.
And she looked when I showed it, she looked just like Larry but with boobs.
That's amazing.
And she talked like Larry.
That's
the
incredible.
Same voice. It really was one of those. I didn't say a word.
Salad, please.
My mouth was just open the whole time going, what? This is wild. I never expected this moment when I moved to New York.
Wow.
Never expected it.
That's
was really great.
Yeah, that's trippy. That would be very trippy.
Well, a female Larry, it's pretty trippy.
That is very trippy, yeah.
The only thing worse, this is a terrible Three Stooges story, and I think it was this same crew. Back in the day, when you're in comedy, everybody's trading half-inch tapes of outtakes and this and that. One was passed under into my office that was Larry had a stroke later on in life and was living in an adult care retirement place, and a couple of kids went in there to do a biography on him and shot interviews with him with his stroke face.
I've seen some of this on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was passed. I thought that was horrible, but
yeah.
Yeah.
The
way it was delivered, but still.
Well,
I had to take in every Three Stooges moment I could.
Yeah.
I had to somehow touch it. So I did watch it.
That's amazing.
I have no Mo stories. I have no Mo stories and no Curly stories, but
you're into the Larry.
No, I was a Curly fan. Curly was the funny guy to me.
Yeah.
He's funny. Yeah. I loved how you played him in the movie. I thought you were really funny. And Mo, no. I like Larry.
Yeah.
What about you? Who did you like?
I gotta say, I mean, everybody loves Curly, and I love all three of them.
I like
Shemp. Hard to pick. Yeah, Shemp is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of dynamically like Mo because he's so pissed off. Mo's the smartest one, and at no point does he go, all right, you know what? fuck you two guys. I'm out of here. You're on your own. I don't need you. And he's like the smartest one, but he's so angry all the time. And of course, being the smartest stooge is not, is not saying much, but just sort of that archetypical like setup that they, that triad that they created. Mm-hmm. Mo just makes me laugh really hard because he's so pissed off. But it's like, leave, get out of here. Larry's kind of, in my opinion, Larry's the most interesting, because you go back and watch Larry and he's doing some weird stuff. Because he's like, if Mo is vanilla and Curly is chocolate, Larry is strawberry in that Neapolitan ice cream. He's doing weird stuff because there's really this heavy back and forth between Mo and Curly. Mm-hmm. And then Mo and Shemp later. And Larry's off doing, if you watch just Larry, he's making some very weird choices. And Larry's the one where you're like, you're smarter than the bald guy. Why don't you get out of here? So I kind of like that Mo was so angry all the time and yet never bailed on these two. And
what was it like shooting the movie? I mean, when they said, we're going to do this thing, and we're going to make it crazy, and we're going to make it funny, it's not really a biopic in any way, and you've got Larry David playing the crazy nun.
Right.
Was it a great experience?
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Yeah, we had a blast. And
now we have Jim Carrey again there in this movie, right?
Well, originally it was going to be Jim Carrey as Curly, Sean Penn as Larry, and Benicio del Toro as Mo.
That's right. Yeah. I remember this incarnation.
And so
I remember the moment where I was when I heard this announced on the radio. And I went, what?
Yeah.
Benicio del Toro?
I think he would have pulled it off.
I just went, what are they doing? This is what I meant. Like, at the time, I was like, what are these Farrelly brothers doing right now? Benicio del Toro and Three Stooges are in the same sentence.
It would have been.
What's happening?
It would have been. I wonder what the heck he would have done with it. I mean, it may have been like him in like Usual Suspects or something. Like, Curly, even the thing, if you don't get out of the way, I'm a knucklehead. I'm gonna flip you. What'd he say? I'm gonna flip you. But yeah, it was the three of them. And then I remember I did a table read for Sean Penn so he could hear the script.
Wait, how is Sean Penn involved in it?
Sean Penn was going to be Larry.
He was going to be Larry. Yeah. Sean Penn. That's right.
So I did a
this
table
insane.
read, just when and there was no way I was involved at all, but just
was Sean Penn in the room?
Yeah, he was sitting there. Yeah.
So it's Benicio del Toro and Sean Penn?
No, it was just Sean Penn, myself. Billy was reading Larry. Billy West.
Okay.
Was sitting there, and we did the script, and just so that he could hear it.
Okay.
And then the
what was that like? How was he reacting?
He
Sean
laughed.
Penn.
He was like, he would go like that. He'd be like, "Oh, I guess we're killing it." He would go. Very funny.
And did he think he was shooting a comedy or a drama? Did he have his wits about him that day, or is he a little lost? Or
I don't know if it.
I mean, that's a pretty intimidating room to be sitting there, reading Curly lines, to Sean Penn.
Real weird.
Really weird.
Well, that's
a high degree of weirdness.
I'll look. I'll tell you, this is actually true. Sean Penn. And Nicole Sullivan from Mad TV told me this, and I did not believe her. She said years ago, while we were still at the show, she goes, "You know who watches Mad TV?" She goes, "Sean Penn watches Mad TV." I was like, "Get the fuck out of here." She's like, "No, I heard from so-and-so or whatever. She saw him at a party or whatever." Like, "Oh, yeah, Sean Penn complimented us on this." I'm like, shut up. Cut to, years later, we're doing this table read for the Stooges. And after the table read, Mr. Sean Penn comes up to me and we're talking, and he starts talking about Mad TV. And I was like, get out of here. I don't know, he watched it with his kids or what. But so
fantastic.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Your life is made in that moment.
Pretty much.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Spicoli.
I've been waiting for the right time to quit. And thank you very much, Mr. Penn. Goodbye, everybody. Going back to Canada. Going back to Canada, I'm not going to confuse my parents anymore with this weird show business thing. No,
Do you live here, or do you live in Canada right now?
No, I live here. I wish I could live in Canada. I can't wait till this business spreads out so far where it's literally the Food Network just on your phone, and we're all just making vines and self-publishing. You're getting $4 to do it, and I'm just living in a log cabin like something you'd see on one of these reality shows like Out West Trekkers or something, and I'm just up there eating raw deer and barely making a living doing that is the dream. And I'm not not joking at all.
Did I see that there's going to be another Three Stooges movie? Did I see that on
did.
IMDb?
You did.
What was that?
But there's not.
It said filming on IMDb.
Yeah, because they can.
What is that? What am I looking at when I go to your IMDb resume and I see that?
You are looking at the people who own the rights to the Stooges.
Okay.
Who want I'm sure they would like to make another movie.
But they said it's filming. It's not?
I don't know. Well, I guess they just put that on IMDb. And to be honest, look, I'll be.
Are you saying the stuff on the internet is not real?
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Lying? People are lying on the internet?
We can go to Wikipedia right now and fuck your life up if you like. We can just put all sorts of shit.
I don't know if you've ever tried to get anything on IMDb. It's pretty impossible to get the changes to your own.
And I don't know how they do that.
Right. There are all these codes. It doesn't work. There's a committee that meets and all this other stuff. So when I see something there, I tend to believe it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys out in the forest in cloaks and shit.
Well, I got excited because I played that movie recently for my boys, and we loved it. And they laughed their butts off, and they thought you were great. The whole thing was great. And I went, see, it's that moment where I went, now I know what the Farley brothers, what you guys were all up to.
Oh, well,
that was for a different generation. It's like, obviously my kids are little. They didn't know who the Three Stooges were, and they saw this thing. They died. They thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And I went, that's the little piece that I missed. And I think it was also what we were talking about, which is these weird casting choices that were leaked and suddenly talked about that had everybody's head spinning a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
they had to go back and that fell apart with the three big names. Mm-hmm. And so they, if they wanted to still make the movie, it had to be scaled back, and they basically just wanted to look for the three guys that could do it.
I want to do it with Benicio del Toro now, Sean Penn.
That would be
and
great.
you. I'd like to see it in there. Well, if you want to see Will Sasso and you don't feel like Googling him on your YouTube for his funny vines, which you have to do, trust me, you have to do it, you're going to see him in this new show, Louder Milk, that premieres October 17th at 10:30 Eastern Time on the AT&T Audience Network.
And the DirecTV Now app.
It's everywhere. It's really funny. Will, thank you for coming in. Did I miss anything? Is there anything we need to talk about? Just because for the car people who are still lingering here.
What's your
favorite car? What's your favorite car?
I have a Chevy Tahoe.
Oh, there you go.
I've had a string of Chevy Tahoes.
Those are cool.
Yeah, I've owned 3 of them.
That's great. So you're really happy with that product.
I like driving my living room. I'm a big guy.
Right.
Just put me in a Chevy Tahoe. And I tell you what, for your car, your the listeners of your podcast, and I spent a lot of time in Canada. I'm from there, and up in Canada, I have a Chevy Avalanche, which they took the lid off that thing. I'll tell you that right now. That flies. Yeah. It goes really fucking fast. It's not a safe car. It doesn't have it's built on a Suburban chassis, so it's bigger than the Tahoe, but it doesn't have mine's a 2004 or a 2005, so it's before they put the rear cameras in. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly, and it's built like, the back is higher, and it's really built so that you can put a big payload in like a rock, like you're supposed to, like the commercial, dump a bunch of cinder blocks in there. So I can't see behind me, and I'm parallel parking in Vancouver on Robson Street, and just my my trailer hitch just grinding into BMWs, and that's kind of how I sort of feel my way into. I'm a good parallel parker because I parked that boat. But that thing just flies, and it just swallows gas, and I love it. It's just, on the freeway. And I don't know shit about cars. All I know is that I like big trucks. Stupid trucks that can go, if they can go really fast, preferably on bald tires with, on rainy streets in Vancouver. I do a lot of drifting in my, I just got some new all-weather tires, or all-season tires on the Avalanche up north. But before that, they were pretty bald, and I would literally just drift in and out with my cute little Italian parents in the car. I would do that a lot.
They must have loved that.
My mom would be sitting in the back. I'd just make sure she's... and literally, and just drift here and there. My dad just white knuckling the dashboard.
Yeah, right.
That's all. That's really all I know from cars. Big trucks.
Those are trucks. Here's the dirty secret of trucks on TV. They always rate better than the cars.
Really?
Yep. Whenever we put trucks on the show,
Interesting.
through the roof. People love trucks.
I love trucks.
We all love trucks. There
I
you
can't
go.
drive a car.
There
Get a
you
rental
go.
car. Fuck that.
We all love
Drive
trucks.
a big truck. Look, let me tell you something. This planet's got 35 to 50 years tops. Enjoy your truck. Get out there with your truck.
I'd say
Let's
35
poke another
minutes.
hole in the ozone. We got all these emission standards now. My truck ain't. I tell you, this is no word of a lie. My Chevy Tahoe did not pass the last emission standards, the California test, which is impossible to do. Actually, the only reason is because I just took it in for service, and you have to drive it for 50 miles,
Right.
or else that thing doesn't
And
read.
how did you get your smog test pass?
Oh, I still haven't. I've been out of town shooting something,
All right.
so I gotta be in town enough to drive 50 to 100 miles, and then I'll take it back to Manny near my place, and he'll run the test. It's going to be fine. All I'm saying is get a big truck in there, 2 miles to the gallon. Fuck the whales, pave the forest, go Trump, and drive a truck.
What?
I'm joking. Hey, I'm joking.
He's gone off the rails.
I'm in Hollywood. Let's put that on my Wikipedia.
If you, this is a perfect job for the Hungarian. If you can't get the smog test, you call me up. I'm going to put you in touch with the Hungarian. He's going to handle it.
Really?
The Hungarian.
I used to
Hungarian.
have a guy.
He's good at this. He's an
Yeah?
expert. He's an expert at getting you to pass.
Yeah. Wink, wink. When I first got to L.A., I was living in Studio City, and I remember I had this dude, and I had an Isuzu Trooper that I moved down here in, and he would, I'd be parked on the street, and he would, and he was, I don't know what Balkan country he was from, and he would come fix my truck, and he'd be laying under the truck with his legs just out in traffic, and I was like, this guy gets a tip. He's literally risking life and limb, to fix my stupid Trooper with the transmission problem.
Fantastic. Well, Will, very nice to meet you in person.
Likewise.
I've loved your comedy for many years.
Cheers, man.
The show is Louder Milk. It's October 17th on the AT&T Audience Network. We'll see you next week on Spike's Truck Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com.
Hey everybody, it's Shaq. Have you had a chance to check out the #1 podcast on Podcast One? That's right, The Big Podcast with Shaq. Me and my co-hosts John Kincaid and Rob Jenners, we have a blast. With way more than just sports, we have the biggest guests from entertainment to the NBA. I promise you've never ever heard a show like this. The Big Podcast with Shaq, with the new episode every Monday at PodcastOne.com.
If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all, listen up. CarShield has a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that covers more parts than ever. Visit carshield.com/audio to find out how you could pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Get your free quote today at carshield.com/audio. That's carshield.com/audio.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.